Hi, in this video I want to talk about choosing your first woven wrap because it can come with a lot of details. For some people it's really easy, they luck out with their first one, but for others these 6 things that I'm going to talk about in this video are really important to consider before that investment in your first woven is made. I'm going to talk about these 6 things in the order of the frequency of questions that I get, not necessarily what I think is the most important. So the first thing to talk about is the size of the wrap that you're going to get. That's the biggest question that I get. What size should I get? Totally understood, because woven wraps are sized. Unlike stretchy wraps, so it's just a one size fits all. Most ring slings, though they are moving to more sized ring slings for some companies, but most ring slings are one size fits all. Woven wraps are sized. They're sized by the meter, and the length of meter doesn't necessarily match up with the number of size. A size 6, which is a base size for a lot of people, but not all, is 4.6 or 4.7 meters, depending on who you're talking to. Doesn't really make sense. 4.5 meters, size 6. I don't know who came up with these rules, but that's what we've got. Some people might be a little bit shorter or smaller, like my mannequin over here. Let's bring in the plastic people, shall we? She is a small lady. She's a base size 5. She's smaller than me by just a little bit. By a lot, but anyway, she's base size 5, and you can see just about how much tail she has left after tying a front wrap cross carry, which most of the time a front wrap cross carry is what we are using to determine what is your base size. Over here we have a front cross carry. This is with a size 6 or 7, maybe. We go back a little bit forth because this wrap has blunt tails. It's wraps a little bit different, but something to get into later. But as you can see in the front cross carry, which should use up about the same amount of wrap, maybe a little bit less than a front wrap cross carry. She's got a bit more tails with a size long 6, let's call it, than she does here with a size 5, which, anyway, size is a big deal. There's a whole lot more on my blog about sizes, but basically what you're looking for is for a carry like this is something that can go around your body 3 times. For some people, that's a 7 or an 8. For some, it's a 6 or a 5. So it really goes by kind of like your shirt size. If you're on the smaller end of the spectrum, a 5 or 6 should be fine for you. If you're up into the large, extra large, go for a 7 or 8, because the longer tail is not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of cute, isn't it? The next thing that people worry about, size is the first one. The next one is fiber. What kind of fiber should this wrap be made of? Should it be made from cotton? This one's 100% cotton. Should it be made from some kind of blend? This is a cotton and Repreve blend. Repreve is made from recycled plastic bottles. There's also wool. There is, conveniently over here, I've got a little bit of tencel, which is also very soft. There's really a plethora of fibers available out there, and it's up to you what you want to go for. Most people say you can't go wrong with 100% cotton, though 100% cotton varies wildly from wrap to wrap. This one is 100% cotton, really soft. And then over here I've got a Girasol, which came to me used. Took a little bit of extra time to break in. This twill weave just is a little bit more dense than this weave over here with the West of the Fourth wrap. So with fiber comes the weight of the fabric. We measure that by GSM, or grams per square meter. Tells you a little bit more about what the fabric might be like, but not the whole story. For a beginning wrapper, I'd aim for a wrap that's on the low end of the spectrum, maybe mid 200s. This was my first wrap, and it is 280 grams per square meter, which is a little bit high, but maybe it's the Repreve that makes it a little bit more cushy. The weave isn't as dense. So all those things also come into play. Plus what we like to call in the biz wrap qualities, or WQs. Things like how thin or thick is your wrap. GSM tells you a little bit about that. Things like how glidey, how textured is it. Something like this twill weave might have a little bit more of a texture and therefore not slide across. As you can see with wrapping, sometimes passes come over each other. The wrap fold over itself 2 times in this case. So if you're moving a fabric against another piece of fabric, how well does it glide? We also use really fun terms like cushy and soapy and springy and all kinds of other things like that. But the main ones are, does it have a lot of texture? Does it not? Is it thick or is it thin? That's what I would really be asking as a beginner wrapper if you go in some of the brand groups. And that leads me to point number 4. Finding your brand is a big thing that people also ask. What brand of wrap should I get? There are many, though not as many as there used to be several years ago, unfortunately. What's important to me is that I find something somewhat local. I like it made in my country, which is United States. So brands that I prefer are Techni, which is made in Chicago, and others around like that, the West of the Fourth was also made in Canada for a while. I try to find brands that are close to me. Little Frog is in Poland, I believe. Girasol is in South America. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. Doesn't mean that if you import these wraps that you're doing something wrong by any means. Find what speaks to you. We'll get to that in point 6. But right now for point 4, the brands usually have groups over on their Facebook pages or over on Facebook, and you can usually get into those groups and get a really good sense of how you feel for the brand. Everyone has different criteria when it comes to brands and what they what turns them on and turns them off to certain brands. For me, being local is really important, trying to be sustainable. The company that I mentioned before, Techni, uses Reprieve, which is recycled plastic bottles, which is nice and sustainable. They're a zero waste company. All the stuff, all their scrap goes to good use. And that's important to me, and that's one of the reasons why I like them. Where to find them, though, I mentioned Facebook and the brand groups. The weird thing about woven wraps is that they're not like your Ergo Babies and your Tulas and stuff. You can just hop on Amazon and order one, and the next day it shows up at your door. Wraps are a little bit different because they're made in small batches, where the buckle type of carriers are made, who knows, by the thousands? I don't know. I'm not in manufacturing. I do know that the woven wraps are made on a much smaller scale in small batch releases. So finding them new can be kind of difficult sometimes, though there are some great retailers like 5 Minute Recess that have woven wraps, as long as they're still around. You just never know anymore in the baby wearing world. So where to look for them? Long story short, try to stay off Amazon. They're not going to have as quality product as if you would get something directly from the manufacturer. With woven wraps, 9 times out of 10, you are supporting a small business. Maybe even 10 times out of 10, you're supporting a small business. So going directly to that business, ordering directly from them, and developing a relationship with them, and that customer service aspect is really a nice part of the niche that is woven wraps. The other thing that I want to tell you about is where else to find them other than on the brand's website. There are swap groups, a ton of swap groups, because we love exchanging wraps. We love finding the wraps that speak to us, and that's what I did a lot as a beginner, was I bought a lot of wraps because I was able to, and I traded them around and found what really spoke to me, and that's how I found the wraps that I love and are part of my collection today. The last thing that I actually think is the most important thing, I mentioned there are 6 things. We talked about size, we talked about fiber, we talked about wrap qualities, like thick, thin, glidey, textured. We talked about brands and where to find them. But I think the most important thing is, do you like the look of the wrap? This wrap was my first one. I loved the bright orange. It was springtime. I was learning to wrap. I was expecting a fall baby, and I just thought that the orange would be a really nice to carry through all of those things. I liked the look of it, and the look, wanting to wear that in this double hammock that I had just dreamed of, motivated me to persevere through the learning curve, through the sweating and swearing that is back wrapping. See previous IGTV video or YouTube video about your first back wrap. Lots of sweating with that, even with the plastic babies. But those are the things that I really wanted to make sure that I talked to you about today. The size is important, though Base size is what we start with. Doesn't mean that's what you have to carry with forever. Fiber is important, so you find something that you're comfortable in. Wrap qualities so that you feel like you can wrap it confidently are wonderful to look for. What brands, where to find them, we talked about that stuff, and the look is really important to me. Do you like the look? Does it motivate you to wrap? Because coming up, we have the May the 4th trimester challenge, which starts on May the 4th be with you, May 4th, Monday, May 4th. But if you're watching this after May, you can start it anytime because it's actually a really great beginner challenge. We go over front wrap cross carry, we go over front cross carry. Those are the first 2 carries that we start with, and a whole bunch, 14 carries, including some back carries for the end. So if you are a new wrapper, think about those 6 points, how to find your first wrap. Check out amywrapsbabies.com/beginners. I'll drop the link in the comments because that has a written overview of everything that I talked about today, including video links to your first carries to try and a list of woven wrap companies that I really enjoy. Thanks for watching today. See you next time.